Hello, Tennessee. How are we doing, Tennessee? My name is Santiago Asconapé. I'm here to make a few points. Today, I'm here to make a few points. My name is Santiago. I'm running for governor of the state of Tennessee. I'm running for the governorship of the state of Tennessee. The key voting day is the 3rd of November, 2026. That's November 3rd, 2026. That's the key date we have to remember, because that's when it's time to go out there and vote and to choose our next governor, to elect our next governor of this state. And I'm Santiago Asconapé, and I'm running for the governorship. I'm ready to be governor. I'm ready to be commander-in-chief of the state of Tennessee. And let's get to it without wasting time. When I mentioned that date, November 3rd, the 3rd of November, 2026, we can think of it two ways. Well, that's really far away. That's more than a year away. And that, if we think about it that way, that's an apathetic approach to the economy. There's a problem with the economy. I, of course, start off speaking about the economy. The economy always the most important thing. I'm an economy first governor, or I'm aiming to be an economy first governor. If we think about that date, November 3rd, 3rd of November, 2026, and if we think that's a really long ways away, I don't know. That's a really long ways away. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to vote. I don't know if I'm going to be out there to vote, because I don't know. I don't see the point of it, or that's really far away. Well, that's a sign of an apathetic economy. That's a sign, that's a warning sign of an economy that is dealing with too much uncertainty, a lack of certainty. Economic uncertainty is not a good thing. We want vibrant energy. We want energy, pristine energy, where if you hear that date, the 3rd of November, 2026, November 3rd, 2026, we want the energy to be an indicator where, yeah, it's not that far off, and that's really important. And I am going to participate in that. I am going to cast a vote in that. That sets forward the trajectory of the next 4 years. That's really important. And that's how we have to view it. Because if there's energy missing, if there's energy lacking from the economy, that's a bad sign. That's how we end up with a 2% GDP, which is what we have nationally. As far as the United States, our GDP is 2%, folks. And we get stuck with a number like that because we become apathetic and because there's too much uncertainty. Day in, day out, when it comes time to make a purchase, a consumer transaction, is there an upside to it? Should I buy this? Should I buy this product? Should I buy this service? Too much uncertainty, not enough energy overwhelming the system and increasing the confidence factors. We need to increase the confidence factors 10-fold, 12-fold, 16-fold, 18-fold, so that there's certainty in the economy, there's strength in the economy, there's an overwhelming energy that beams across the economy, and I'll explain how that works. And if that's there, then that's a sign of a really strong, really healthy economy, which is what we want to have in the state of Tennessee. Now, with the state of Tennessee, let's not take for granted our state vehicle, meaning we have a state. If the United States is too lackadaisical, if the United States is too passive, is not energetic enough in terms of increasing our economy, our economic productivity, then guess what? We have the state of Tennessee in order to improve those numbers, to improve those data figures. We can rely on the state to basically answer all our prayers. And that's the beauty of our system, our federalist system. 10th Amendment, states' rights, I'm a proponent of both, because it's absolutely crucial that we have our own state with its own economy, taking care of its own people, its own population, and that our economy is as strong as it can be always, and that's what I'm running on, a strong economy. I'm an economy first governor. I'm concerned about the economy. I want the economy to do well. So when I mention election day is November 3rd, 2026, and I want you to think about this in the weeks going forward. The day you go out to vote is the 3rd of November, 2026. The 3rd of November, November 3rd, 2026. If you listen to that information and you think, gee, I don't know, that's a really long ways away. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. That's a really bad sign. That's a warning sign for Tennessee, meaning, whoops, we're not handling the economy the way that we're supposed to, the way that we should have been handling it. That's a warning sign. That's an apathy sign. That's a we're not so comfortable, we're very uncertain sign. Because not only are you giving up perhaps on that particular day, it making a difference, but you're giving up on the trajectory of the next 4 years. And 4 years should go by quickly. 4 years' time should not be slow, because we need a productive economy. We need a strong economy, and that's what we'll have with my leadership. If I'm elected governor, that's what we're going to have, a strong economy, a healthy economy, a vibrant economy, an economy that works and that stays consistent and continues to produce. I'm actually promising a GDP of between 7 to 9% in the state of Tennessee. I think that's possible. I think that's what we're going to make happen. For 4 years' time, between 2027 and 2031, we're going to have a GDP. The GDP figures are going to say 7 to 9%. Because what I'm working on is economic integration. If we integrate our economy, and this is where I'm explaining how this works. How does the concept of energy work? How do we not become lackadaisical, apathetic? I don't know, I'll push that off. I don't think there's a point to buying this product. I don't think there's a purpose to subscribing to this service. The reason we push those things away is because not enough integration in the economy. Because integration, economic integration, what it means is the institutions of the state are cohesively working together to put together a package. Now, the target market is Tennesseans. We have 7 million people in the state of Tennessee. We want all of them to do really well. 7 million people, I adore you. Tennesseans, I love you, I'm in love with you, I've broken my back for you. Tennesseans, I love you with all my heart. I do this for you, I campaign for you, I want to be governor for you. The 7 million people of Tennessee. Well, we need energy to cohesively, systematically be put together as a package so that every Tennessean sees a point, sees an upside to tackling the day. And that one day turns to 2 days, turns to 1 week, turns to 2 weeks, turns to 1 month, turns to 2 months. Then we have 4 years. And I have a 4-year plan where we have an economic GDP of 7 to 9%. That means a lot of productivity. That means a lot of energy being put into the economy. That means a lot of economic upside. And these are the things that we have to look forward to. And that's possible with economic integration. When our economy is integrated, when all the institutions within the state, the armed forces, the universities, the private sector employers, when all the institutions are doing their part, putting in their share of the lot, putting in their economic influence, if that's working cohesively and in a systematic manner, if that's working systematically, then we can have maximum economic output. And that's how our GDP goes. Or nationally, we're at 2%, and sometimes we feel like it moves too slow. And we want 7 to 9%. We want a GDP of 7 to 9%. And that's 4 years' time. And we should be able to keep track of those results. Because what if I make a promise today and then here in 2 years from now you want to check to see whether it happens or not? Did he deliver on that promise? Did that happen? The GDP of 7%, 8%, 9%? Did he make that possible? I want to be able to look this up here in 2 years. Well, that has to do with data. Part of economic integration, or the next thing, there's economic integration where all the institutions work together systematically to produce the energy for the economy to work energetically, to move forward energetically. And there's data. We need the best data practices in terms of data aggregation, data governance, in terms of data collaboration. We need the best data practices, because it goes back to my point. Either we have a state or we don't have a state. If we're forced to rely on the 2% GDP that the United States puts forth, we're going to be a little bit sleepy, and that's not a good thing to be. And if we have our own state with our own autonomy, and I spoke of federalism in the 10th Amendment, our own state's rights, and we have an obligation to put forth our own economy, well, we need the data to prove it. We need the data to demonstrate it, to show our work. But proper data practices, the best data, having the best data so we can keep track of these results, that's going to be really important also. Because if we have the best data, if we have economic integration, if we have the best data, economic integration and the best data, then we're modernizing our state. We're modernizing the state of Tennessee. We're not leaving it to be a dinosaur. We're old politicians that already have roles. They run for another role, and they run for another role, and they don't even have a platform. They don't even have ideas. They're just running for office. We don't want to be stuck with bureaucratic malaise. We don't want to be stuck a dinosaur. We want to modernize. Modernization and defense. That's my platform. I'm Santiago Asconapé, and I'm running for governor on modernization and defense. And modernization means economic integration, and it means the best data practices. It means having the best data, so the state of Tennessee can always kind of show off what the results that it's yielded. It gets to demonstrate what those yielded results. And that's something, trust me, we want that in our corner. So that's data aggregation. We need the best practices, data governance, data collaboration. With all that, we need to be pristine. It's not just economic integration, but it's having the best data. If we have those two things, we're modernizing this state. That and infrastructure. But when I speak about infrastructure, I'm very heavy on infrastructure. I want phenomenal, pristine infrastructure. I want it to be beautiful. But I'm not just speaking about transportation. I'm not just speaking about roads and bridges. When I speak about infrastructure, I'm actually speaking about non-traditional infrastructure. I'm speaking about digital systems, communication systems, technological systems, the way that our state communicates, the way that Tennesseans receive information. Because it goes back to, with economic integration, we need all of the institutions to do their part. We need for the energy to be there so that it's not lackadaisical, it's not apathetic, it's not passive. Instead, it's strong. Instead, it's 7 to 9% GDP. Instead, it's active. Instead, it's productive. Productivity levels have to be high. And when that's there, that's a sign of that economic integration. We collect the best data. We can demonstrate the value of that economic output, because we're going to have maximum economic output if the economic integration is there. If all of the institutions of the state, armed forces, universities, private sector employers, if they're doing their part to systematically and cohesively move the system forward, then 4 years go by, and that's not a lot of time. That's a perfect amount of time to demonstrate results. We need to show results. I'm very results oriented. I always have been. I always will be. I want to make a difference. If I'm elected governor, it's going to make a difference. That's why I'm explaining to you my platform. And yes, I actually have a platform. Some of these other candidates, no comment. I don't think they even have a platform. They're just running because they're old. They've been involved with it for years. They already have a role. Someone tells them to run. They don't even have a platform. And people expect 4 years go by, they're going to look back on it. Was it a regret-based vote? Or does it go back to apathy? People don't even vote. Because what's the point of it, right? And that's the psychology of a lot of Tennesseans, is what's the point of casting a vote? Well, that's an indication of a flawed system, but it can be different. If you vote for Santiago, if you vote for me, if you vote for Santiago Asconapé, vote Santiago. I have a platform. I'm explaining it to you. It's modernization and defense. It's economic integration. It's having the best data statewide so that the state can be a leader of all states. Tennessee has the ability to lead. So modernization and defense, economic integration and data governance, data collaboration. These are all the things. We need the best data to be able to demonstrate the results, the 7 to 9% promised GDP. What I'm throwing out there is, remember, nationally we're at 2%. We have a GDP of 2%, folks. So if we feel like there's not enough productivity, well, the statistics don't lie to us. Nationally, in terms of the United States, we have a GDP of 2%. Well, I'm promising for the state of Tennessee a GDP of between 7 and 9%. And that's going to be really impressive because it's a high number. But it'll be worthwhile. It's worth it, and it's possible. Above all else, it's possible. So I'm running on modernization, I'm running on defense. Now, why defense? Well, if we modernize a state with the best infrastructure, with the best communication systems, technology systems, of course, that's going to invoke our armed forces. Of course, I'm going to have to mention them because we're a defense-heavy state already. We always have been. But that's one of our strong suits. That's one of the biggest strengths that we have. And as far as defense, it's modernization and defense. I'm going to add another defense base, another armed forces, another military base to the state. It's going to be primarily the Space Force. But the other branches of the armed forces are going to be involved. Marines, Army, Marines, even the Navy, the Air Force, they're going to be involved. It's going to be primarily Space Force. But I'm adding another base because with the addition of another base, that means more economic stability, that means more job creation, that means more increased spending, that means a healthier economy altogether, and we need to always defend and protect our population. It's not just about the economy, it's a big part of it, but we need to be able to defend our population from geopolitical risks, from technological risks, from risks of all types, and even the weather. We have to be able to protect Tennesseans from the weather. I don't know how many more years we can go by with another severe storm, folks. With people in their house watching TV, just waiting to see if their house disappears overnight or not, or disappears in a flood, or disappears in a windstorm. So I'm putting as part of my platform, as part of in the defense category, I'm putting natural disaster prevention as part of my platform. I think I'm the first politician in the country to do so. The only one. Natural disaster prevention. We need to prevent these severe storms. No more tornadoes, no more hurricanes, no more floods. If we have the proper defense infrastructure investment, technological defense infrastructure investment, we can prevent these unfortunate things from happening to begin with. And that's what we should do. And even if we can't, I'm not going to promise miracles where we don't get a raindrop in 4 years' time. Because it's going to rain. Rain is not a bad thing. We need it for agriculture. But these severe storms that cause damage and damage our infrastructure and unfortunately kill people, we can't have that anymore. Too many consecutive years of that being a downer issue, one that we don't want to confront with anymore. So with the defense investment, we aim to, at the very least, mitigate these storms so that we're prepared for them. It's mitigation and it's preparedness, where it's not just a matter of declaring an emergency if they happen, but being able to protect our property, being able to protect our people, and being prepared to warn people, evacuations, if necessary, the whole shebang. Because defense is defense and it's crucial and it ties into the economy. If we have strong defense, we're going to have a strong economy, but it's also its own separate categories. Modernization, we're going to modernize the state of Tennessee, and it's defense, modernization and defense. So I'm Santiago Asconapé. I'm running for governor of Tennessee. I'm running to be the 51st governor of the state of Tennessee. I'm doing so very proudly. I'm doing so very effectively. We're moving this campaign forward. The crucial voting day is November 3rd, 2026. And you can think that's a long ways away, or you can think I'm not going to be able to make it. If you're thinking that way, you've given into our subpar economy. Our economy that's going to improve a lot. If you give me an opportunity to be governor, I'm going to improve the economy significantly so that everybody values their time, everybody values their opportunities, and instead of being cynical and negative about things, we can see the upside in different situations, and we can make incredible things happen. Modernization and defense, economic integration, data savviness, data preparedness, data aggregation techniques that modernize the state, that make our economy more effective. These are all the things that are possible. Modernization and defense. We're going to modernize Tennessee. We're going to defend Tennessee. I'm Santiago Asconapé. I'm very proud to be here. Very happy to be here. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. And on November 3rd, the 3rd of November, 2026, go out and cast a vote for Santiago Asconapé. Why? Because you won't regret it. Otherwise, a non-vote becomes regret-based. And otherwise, if you vote for one of these other, with all due respect, one of these dinosaur candidates that are just running for the sake of running, they don't even have a platform. They don't have a platform. Or if not, they borrow it from somewhere else. It's not original. And a derivative platform means subpar results for the state, which we can't put up with anymore. We can't put up with that anymore. We've got to do the best we can do. Thank you so very much for listening. I'm Santiago Asconapé. May God bless you, and I want to be the 51st governor of the state of Tennessee. And if that happens, you won't regret it. Why? Because you'll be able to keep track of the results, the economic results, the technological advancement results, the modernization results, the defense results. Did he put in the new military base? He added a brand new one to the state of Tennessee. You're going to be able to keep track of the results because of the data. I'm improving the data practices of the state. 22 departments in this state. And I want them to have the best data practices so our people can be informed. So Tennesseans are informed and happy. So I thank you so very much for listening. Have a wonderful day, and may God bless you. I'm out. Thank you. Hello, Tennessee.